Now, many of you will recognize Don, Nick, and Jacob from the many videos they do here at Sweetwater. And Dave comes to us from the Sweetwater studios, where he's our staff bassist, he's an engineer and a producer. And Don, Nick, and Jacob are also session players for Sweetwater Studios. And it's amazing to have such a great team available to help the studio's customers create their music. We're just so glad to have you guys here today.
Thanks, Mitch.
And speaking of music, we've got a breakout artist joining us now. Yola's 2019 album, Walk Through Fire, launched her into the public eye with a unique blend of soul, country, disco, and more, blended with gospel power and the raw drive of roots music. It earned her 4 Grammy nominations, and on July 30th, she'll release her follow-up album, Stand For Myself, where she once again collaborates with producer Dan Auerbach from the Black Keys. She's a singer, songwriter, and guitarist, and we're happy to welcome Yola to GearFest 2021.
Hey!
Hey!
Thanks for having me.
We're so glad you're here. Thank you for taking the time to sit down with us.
Hey, sure. It's my pleasure.
Right on. So we got a lot to talk about, and you're going to be performing for us in a little bit as well.
Yes, indeed. We are. And
Right.
so I hope you enjoy that.
Right, we will, absolutely. I'm looking forward to it. And congratulations on the success of your first album. We're so excited about the second album coming out.
Yeah, well, like, I don't think I saw any of that coming. So when they were like, also, Best New Artist. And I'm like, really? And they're like, you're duking it out with Lizzo and Lil Nas X and Billie Eilish. No big deal or anything. I'm like, cool, I'm fine just to be in this category. So
Right.
yeah, like it's been a real joy, just all the success that's come my way.
It has to be incredible, absolutely incredible. So tell us, how did you get to this point? How did you get started in music, develop your vocals and your songwriting and all of your guitar playing as well?
Oh, well, they all came in very, very separated ways. I pretty much like emerged into the world musical. Like as soon as I could talk, I could sing. As soon as I could walk, I could dance. These were things that were very, very natural. I didn't really have to do any work for it. I'm sorry for the people that had to work. I didn't. So I would, to develop, I obviously did have to work a lot. But like that was something that was just the plan. I told my mother, age 4,
Right.
I'm going to sing and write songs, and she's like, okay. But you know, we're not rich, right? And I'm like, yeah, I know it's going to be really hard, but I'm just going to have to do it. And so, yeah, my bloody mindedness kind of has held true until this very day. But yeah, that was it. I started doing jazz gigs, like probably age 13, right through until about 19, just kind of like around England. And then there were lots of DJs that would come to Bristol because they had a big kind of dance music scene.
Right.
And they'd be looking for singers. And so I go and do that. And I go and sing with them live and like write ideas with them and stuff. And I was doing that kind of out of school as well. And so it was just like I was a front woman for hire for a really long time. And
Right.
I finally kind of started up a band. And yeah, it was like, yeah, that was like a lot of my life. And
Right.
Guitar came rather late. I was always like a top line person. But like the environments that I was in, people were threatened about the idea of me also having the chords as well as the top line. And so I was like, hypnotized out of my own agency for a long time. And that's what guitars are. Like, let's make no mistake about this. Guitars are agency, straight up in form. Cuddle your agency. And and that's what I was able to do once I picked up the guitar. But I picked that up like, goodness, if I started gigging at 13, I probably only even did my first chord on a guitar like 15 years later than that.
Wow.
And so it wasn't like, I'd been practicing for ages. Like it was the idea of having it as a vehicle to get ideas out of my head and to not be codependent anymore and to kind of stand in my power. And maybe that's still what the guitar represents,
Sure.
standing in your power.
Sure, exactly. And we have to give a shout out to Fender because they facilitated you being here today. So we're very grateful to them
for
bringing you
in all the ways. Indeed, with giving me lots of guitars so I can play them in front of all of these fine people. Yeah, they have assisted in my agency massively.
Well, they're great. An incredible company, and of course, incredible instruments. As you know, they're some of the best around.
Yes, I've been spoiled rotten. I love it. I deeply, deeply love it.
As it should be, right? As it should be.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit more about your songwriting process. Where do the song ideas come from? Do you start with the guitar parts you're playing? Do you start with lyrics, a melody? How does the whole thing develop?
So I honestly don't think I've ever sat down to write a song in my life. I spend most of my time trying to be social because I'm farming ideas by being in company. So if I, for example, I'm on the road constantly and I'm having to take care of my voice, I'm having to do like loads of things that like, aren't really being in the world. When you're on the road, you're not really in the world. You're seeing the world from a window. That's what you're really doing. So like when I'm in the world, I'm able to socialize, then I am constantly mining. And so that's where my ideas come from. I'm observing life at all times. Everything has a potential poetic bent. Every tiny occurrence has a potentially profound allegorical meaning. And so that's what I'm doing. And the second that happens, sometimes I might go to someone else's show and I might see like not what they're singing, but how they're singing it and how emotionally, like what they're battling with to get the song to you. I'll be like, that's interesting. And then I'll talk to someone, they'll say something else at the bar later. And then like something else happens and something comes into my head and then it's voice note time. Or a lot of the time I'm doing something menial, like I'm washing up or I'm vacuuming and something pops into my head and then it's voice note time again. And so a lot of the time, the majority of the time, my process is waiting for ideas to arrive. The closest I've got to sitting down and writing has been by like holding a guitar and strumming just random chords in front of the television until my brain goes pretty much blank. And then at that moment of borderline blankness, like almost a slight trance-like state, ideas just come and they come at great speed. And so I've been practicing that. That's the closest I've got to sitting down to write. I've been sitting down not to write.
Not to write, right. So I have to be careful what I say because something may end up in a song on the third album. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, you do. Mind yourself, mate.
Well, listen, we've got to check out some of these great songs, and you've put together a performance for us, so let's cut over and check out some music from Yola. I am so sorry, Yola.
Easily done. I'm Yola. I'm going to play a couple songs for you and for, of course, the Sweetwater Gear Fest. You have to check it out. Fender are in conjunction with them. And of course, you might be able to tell we're on tour. And the tour has been kitted out with wonderful gear from Fender. I am always sorted out by Fender. They've always got me and the squad. And so, yeah, we're going to play some songs and please do go check it out. It's awesome for all your most awesome gear. Here it is. This one's called Diamond Studded Shoes. A 1, a 2, a 1, 2, 3, and... This next one is called Stand For Myself. Here it is. 1, 2, 3, and...
Just fantastic, Yola. I mean, that is the sign of a great song, where you can sit down with an acoustic guitar, a Fender acoustic guitar, by the way, and a Fender electric guitar and sing with it, and the song comes across. I mean, that's the hallmark of a great song.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah,
Sure.
you're not wrong, like it's got to be able to hang together small, and
Right,
so,
right. So we've got just a
yeah.
little bit of time left, and I've got some questions that have come in over social media that we can throw your way if you want to take a stab at them.
All right, go on.
So the first one comes from On This Rock, who asks, "Who's been your biggest inspiration?"
Well, that changes, year on year. But I think it's a cross between Tina Turner and Aretha. I think together they have really helped me understand like music and where I stand with it. And of course, Mavis Staples. She's played a really big part in my understanding of my voice, and the husk, because of the era I grew up in, was like the smooth voice era of the 90s. And so I was a bit of an oddity. So they helped me find my way.
Right. Well, if you've got to have inspirations, go for the best, and those are definitely three of the best. So that's awesome.
Right.
That's awesome. So 2 Eagles 19 asks, "What song do you perform that moves you the most emotionally?"
Ooh, of my own or of someone else's?
Your choice.
Oh goodness. So of my own, I think it's Stand for Myself. Like when I perform it, I feel it viscerally. Like I'm every time I'm singing it, I'm like, I still mean this,
Right.
very, very seriously. And maybe of somebody else's, oh goodness. I think maybe Spanish Harlem. But the version by Aretha, because it was like one of my mother's favorite songs, and it reminds me of my late mum.
Right. Great version of that song. Incredible. So we've got Music Therapy Liz asking over social media, and I know this is a question everybody's wondering, when are you going to tour the U.S.?
Well, I now live here, so
Well,
soon.
soon.
I'm supporting Chris Stapleton on a bunch of dates starting in the fall, and so you're going to see me kind of everywhere if you've got tickets to see him. If you don't, you should probably get them.
Yes, right. Right. So we talked about the success of your first album. The second album is coming out on July 30th. And what can we look forward to there? Is it dramatically different from the first album, or how do the two relate?
So the first record, I felt as though that it was like a getting to know you record with Dan Auerbach. I hadn't met him before. And so like I met him by writing this record. It was like, first song, oh, this is who you are. Okay, cool. How does all of this work? Oh, we'll find out. Don't worry about it. But obviously now we've actually known each other for a certain amount of time. And so I'm like, oh, so this is how everything works in this country, because it's very different on this continent to how it is over in Europe or the UK. And so, I feel as though that's one thing that's really transformed the sound from like maybe just looking at a few things that I feel connected to musically to seeing maybe the broader scope of who I am. So yes, like maybe there might not have been any disco on the first record, but there is on the second record. And there's a lot of my Smokey Robinson influence on this record, my Minnie Riperton influence on this record, my Barry White influence on this record. Yeah, there are loads of things that are like, making themselves known on this record that maybe didn't. I mean, my love of Tina as well, as you're hearing that on this record as well. And so, yeah, like it's a development by a long stretch.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we're so excited about the new album, July 30th. And be sure to pick that up and check that out. Yola, thanks so much for taking the time to sit down with us today. I apologize for getting your name wrong. Don't put that into a song.
Hey, you know what? I can't guarantee it.
Well, it's been a pleasure getting to know you. We appreciate you taking time at GearFest 2021. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, Sweet.
Bye.